LCI isn't just in the manufacturing business. Digital accessibility is also super important. What used to be known as LCI Tech is now known as Ablr. John Samuel is the co-founder and CEO. John, it's so great to talk with you.
Thanks, Valonda. I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, let's talk about the origin story of Ablr. How did it come about?
It goes back to LCI Tech. So 3 years ago, I was out of a job, and I had been working in private equity, and my sight just started to deteriorate really fast, and I didn't know if there's any hope for me left. And then I was introduced to Jeffrey and LCI, and when I met with Jeffrey, he talked about creating new knowledge-based jobs. And I came on board and was tasked with creating knowledge-based jobs for people who are blind and low vision. And that's what was the origin of LCI Tech. And then just 18 months ago, I was at a conference, at a tech conference, and I heard the CEO of Walk West talking about diversity and inclusion in the tech space. And it was the first time that I heard about diversity and inclusion in the tech kind of context. And he was talking about it from a business case. And he offered to meet anyone for coffee. I jumped at it. I met with him, and he had never thought about people with disabilities in the diversity and inclusion discussion or in tech. And one thing led to another, and 18 months later, I was introduced to Mike Iannelli, my co-founder, and we started Ablr.
So now Ablr is what used to be LCI Tech. What's new? What's different?
Yeah, I think when we came together with Walk West, what we did was build had this foundation of digital accessibility, but we also brought in Walk West's ability to scale and grow as a fast-growing digital agency. And I think the combination of both of them are now going to allow us to have a broader reach and really show people that accessibility is not just only for people with disabilities, but it's actually going to improve the lives of all people.
Right. And LCI or Tech, or now Ablr, made a big splash this month with some audits of the presidential candidates' websites. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we took a look at the websites of the presidential candidates, because it's a really important time, right? Voting is a civil right, and so is accessibility. And so we thought it was the right thing to do, to go and take a look and make sure that people can get accurate information and it be accessible. And so we took a look at it, and we did find some violations and some issues, but a lot of those issues could be could be corrected with just a few minor modifications.
Yeah.
But again, it takes people having that lens of saying, am I making sure that it's inclusive of all people? And if our political leaders aren't thinking about all people,
right,
that's something we need to talk about.
Absolutely. And companies, no matter what they do, should be thinking about accessibility, shouldn't they?
Exactly, right? So accessibility, there's 20% of the population that has a disability. So if you're not talking to your customers or your employees or just your partners, you're missing out on a huge population.
Yeah.
And it's there's a business case for it, there's a legal case for it, and then there's also just the right thing to do.
Right. And let's talk about your cane. It's beautiful. We're used to seeing
plain
white canes, but yours is colorful. That's on purpose. We had a contest to design a wrap for your cane. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so October 15th was White Cane Day, and a few months ago I was talking to Sharon, one of my colleagues, about this idea of I wanted to design my cane. I thought of it as just as white canvas, and when I go to networking events, this white cane often became almost a barrier of people. People just didn't want to say the wrong thing in front of me. And so I was talking to Sharon, I said, hey Sharon, I want to come up with a way to design the cane. And Sharon said, I got to introduce you to Creative Allies. And so LCI and Walk West, we partnered with Creative Allies and had designers from all over the world submit designs for my white cane. And we got dozens of designs. We had people from all over the country also vote. And the winner was one called Fluorescent Shades, after my sunglasses. So super cool stuff. Blue blockers, awesome stuff.
Yes, but this is now a conversation piece, because what you've experienced is, like you said, people don't want to say the wrong thing, so they say nothing instead of talking to you.
Exactly, right? Because it breaks down the barriers, it opens those dialogues, and I think that when we can have more open conversations, that's how we're going to be more inclusive. That's how we build empathy. And one thing I always talk about is proximity builds empathy.
Yeah.
And now if we break down this barrier, there's not going to be any distance between you and I.
Yeah, you're really passionate.
6 feet.
Right, exactly. You're really passionate about accessibility and education. What's new and what's next on that front?
Accessibility to me was just a beachhead. When Jeffrey gave me that task of creating knowledge-based jobs for people who are blind and low vision, accessibility was just a starting point. We have to think about education. when I was growing up, I was hiding the fact that I couldn't see. I was ashamed and embarrassed. And so I think that was a big piece of why I'm so passionate about this, is that I don't want anyone ever to feel the way that they can't talk about their disability, and that education, if we're going to be looking at the next 84 years, when I look at this is great.
Yeah.
But my hope is that in 84 years, we're going to have a lot more different types of jobs. Even though all these are great jobs, the technology is going to be changing, and we got to make sure that people are educated to be able to take those jobs.
How does Ablr conduct accessibility testing?
So one of the things that's unique about Ablr is that we actually use people with disabilities who are actual users of assistive technology to actually conduct the test. And then we also have people who are able-bodied who are there also to provide other aspects of the testing. Because you can't just have people with disabilities or assistive technology doing the test. You need to have a sample of all different types of abilities. And then we also use a technology platform. We use it, so we have a combination of human testing plus technology to be able to conduct this test and give the most accurate type of results for companies and businesses.
Thank you so much, John.